The reigning and defending Rugby World Cup champions, the Springboks, hold on to defeat a very strong and spirited French team at home in the Stade de France. It was an epic game with a very high scoring first half, 41 points scored, more than a point a minute. It was a very entertaining watch. Now, I didn't think you could beat Ireland versus New Zealand for entertainment value, but I think this game has just about done that. It was thrilling from the moment go. Both teams finding the space early on, scoring plenty of tries in the first half, really moving the ball very nicely. I thought this game could potentially come down to the boot of each team's kicker in the first half. I thought they'd just be taking the 3 points, but no, they backed themselves to try and score tries, and they did just that. A very entertaining watch, a very physical game as well. Especially with the clear-outs. Like, the tackles were one thing, but I thought the clear-outs were just next level. Both teams pilfering some ball at the breakdown, but when they weren't pilfering ball, they were just steaming into each other, and there'll be some battered and bruised bodies on Monday morning. Phenomenal from both teams. They both left everything on the field, and I think especially in the Ireland game, Ireland-New Zealand and the France-South Africa game, whoever was to win or to lose could be comfortable in the fact that they've left everything on the field. Every inch of sweat, blood and tear, it was just everything involved in the game. It was just absolutely unreal. Couple key talking points. Look, the first half was just exceptional. Both teams finding the space, and they really executed so well. The resourcing of breakdowns in the opposition 22 enabled such fast ball, and the ability to reach the wide expanses so quickly was just unreal. What sort of won the game for South Africa? The Pollard penalty from 50 metres out in the sort of 70-something minute. That really took the game to a 2-score game from France, which meant that the French either had to go to the corner or kick for 3 points and then get another 3 points to win the match. That was a pivotal moment. Manny Lebot coming off, probably due to his place kicking not being at the same level as Pollard, was a big call from the coaching department for South Africa, but it really did work. And look, with Manny Lebot kick that 50-metre penalty, who knows? But Pollard, he was absolutely on the money. And then there was a try from Eben Etzebeth later on in the game. The Boks could have clearly gone for the 3 points. This was in the 67th minute. They could have taken the 3 points, regrouped at the halfway, but no, they backed themselves with a tap penalty, and it really did pay off. And look, the French handling errors late on in the game just killed them. It really did. Just the clinical edge and the execution of the first half just seemed to disappear. I don't know whether the South Africans, well, they probably did have a chat at half-time about tightening the game up, taking it back to the basics, to the box kick, the big tackles and the ruck. And the French, I don't know, they just spilled much more ball. They weren't as accurate in their passes. Passes were going above the head. Maybe that's due to fitness and not being able to keep the same level of skill execution in the later stages. And we talk about skill execution in the later stages. Thomas Ramos kicked a goal line, I think, well, no, it was a 22 dropout straight out on the full. Like, you don't see players like that making those mistakes. So the pressure clearly got to France later on in the game. Look, in terms of the tries, phenomenal tries. Most of them came in the first half. Cyril Bay securing 2 tries for the French. Some brilliant hands for one of them from I think, I can't remember who it was. Was it Damien Penaud? Quick hands, and Cyril Bay went in the most unusual of places. When do you see a loose head prop scoring in the sort of outside 5 metres on the pitch? Absolutely unreal from him. The other was from closer range, very powerful ball carrier, really showing why he's one of the best loose head props in the world after his injury. The second French try came from Malvaca, not from Mamou, as you'd probably expect him to score. Antoine Dupont made a brilliant decision to take a quick tap and go, spun the ball out to Malvaca on the wing, and he crashed over in the 5 metre line. Now, let's talk about the conversions. So 2 were very well converted by Thomas Ramos. And then Colby, he just charged one of them down. It was absolutely unreal. Thomas Ramos was taking too much time with his run-up. And look, the game came down to a 1-point margin. The conversion was worth 2 points. Now, I'm not saying it would have meant the French would have won, because it was way too early on to determine that. But it's just these fine 1% margins, which, you know, Colby putting in the extra effort, the extra energy just to charge that down. 99% of the time, nothing comes off. But when it does, it can play a big role in winning you a test match. So fair play to Cheslin Colby. And the tries for South Africa, an early one from Arendse, in which he secured the high ball, in which the French didn't collect cleanly, and he just out of nowhere managed to accelerate away. That was a hammer blow for the French. The French had to do a well-worked try for their first one, and it seemed like it was almost gifted back to South Africa. And then Diolande went in for South Africa. in what was a very good try. He just made a break through the middle, absolutely unreal stuff. The French still struggling to gather the high balls that the likes of Manny Lebock and Cobus Ryanak were putting in the air. Cheslin Colby also scored, and then the crucial score from Eben Etzebeth right at the end of the game. Look, not many players from 5 metres out on their own pretty much can go over like that. I mean, look, as a forward, you don't expect them to be breaking that many tackles and just to power over against such a strong French pack. It was utterly ridiculous. So look, that was probably the turning point in the game where you thought it was just going out of the reach of the French. In terms of what each team did well and didn't do well, I thought the line-out from the French was very good. I thought the South Africans in the Ireland game especially, which is probably prior to this game the highest level of competition they've had, the South Africans disrupted unbelievably, but the French really tightened up in this area and got some good line-out ball. And the driving maul for the French was really powerful. And the South Africans pride themselves on their maul and their physicality. The French really got them all going, which was massive for them in terms of field position and providing a basis to attack from. The French managed to find some space in behind the real high pace box blitz defence, and they managed to reap some rewards from that. I think Jalibert putting some chips in, Dupont box kicking a shallow box kick over the ruck, was sending the likes of Jaminet through. Some phenomenal skill execution there. And then what didn't go well for the French, the high balls. It was just killing them. Arendse scored off of one. Delande probably, although it's not directly linked, they were gaining great field position for the Delande score from not fielding box kicks. So look, the French will kick themselves there. They needed to be better in the air. They're against two very small wingers in Arendse and Colby. More so Colby. Arendse is a bit bigger. But yeah, they'd expect themselves to gather that ball, and they did struggle there. And then the second half handling and skill execution just wasn't there. The space was definitely there on certain occasions, but the passes were just not accurate enough to execute. And some incredible box blitz defence and some cover defence, some scramble defence was just unreal in keeping them out. What did the box do well? Well, the driving maul equally for them in attack was phenomenal. It really did act as a point of difference. They were setting up mauls in open play where there's not a line out to form it from, which was a very interesting tactic. Just one side note actually, I've never ever in my whole time watching rugby, which is about 10 years now, have I ever seen any player call a scrum from a mark. Like, I've just never seen it. Absolutely unreal stuff. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, in all honesty. It must be a pre-called move from the South Africans. They love to come up with something new and sort of innovative. And ultimately they won a penalty off of it, so fair play to them. The box physicality was obviously off the charts, as it always is, both in attack and defence. And the second half scramble defence and the ability to just work for each other like there's no tomorrow, and just continually fight at every ruck, every breakdown, every tackle, every kick chase was just incredible. The one negative I'd say from the box, I'd probably say their discipline at the ruck time. You saw Stephen Kitsoff give away 3 penalties back to back. In what was like 15-minute period, which obviously gave the likes of Jaminet, Ramos or Jalibert an awful lot of meters from the kick to touch. So look, that's something they want to tighten up from. And maybe more defence as well for South Africa. They've got to be careful there because the French are making many meters at one point. Etzebeth got a yellow card just before half time, I think that was, which look, the French weren't able to sort of execute, especially early on in the second half. To make the most of that advantage, which potentially could be where the game was won and lost. As soon as you're down to 14 men, you're very vulnerable, whether it's scrum time or wider out. The box decided to go 7 men in the scrum, but still managed to keep the French from winning a penalty. So look, unbelievable commitment from the box. Ultimately, the French will be kicking themselves. They had opportunities in that game, especially in the second half, to sort of stretch away from the box. They were well in the lead at one point, but ultimately it wasn't to be. Devastation for the French team in front of their home crowd, which really got behind them and has been phenomenal throughout the tournament. Unfortunately, in my opinion, which is just my opinion, the two teams with the best travelling support are now out of the World Cup. So France and Ireland are out. Look, the Northern Hemisphere teams didn't live up to the hype. They've been given the big build-up, but ultimately it's the gritty and excellent South African performance with some sort of sprinkles of stardust from their outside backs, which ended up winning the game. Unbelievable stuff. Let me know your thoughts on the games in the comment section down below. We've had an unbelievable weekend of action. I'm exhausted from watching it all. There's been highs, lows, all sorts of emotions, devastation for the teams that have been eliminated, and ecstasy for the ones who have scraped by and also won in dominant fashion, if we're looking at the likes of Argentina. So look, amazing weekend of rugby. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comment section down below. I'll get back to you all as always, and yeah, thank you very much for watching.